in the Salah room, and everybody online. Assalamu alaikum to everybody. Shukran for coming. We are back again with the for the love of Allah class, the Thursday class, which is, let me just get to the title screen here. It is being Muslim. I think last week what we spoke about we spoke about actions. What is it? Actions, intentions, actions, knowledge, and love. Right? That was what we ended on last week. Let me get there. Let's actually edit some of the stuff. Okay, and I think what we concluded on was that, yeah, action, knowledge, and love. And what we concluded on was that, we need to start seeing the love that's around us. That the very essence of our creation is founded in Allah's love for us. I was confirmed. I mean, before I jump into the class, right? I was like kind of stunned by this thought. I was talking. I run a program in Bellville, right, for another group, and I was sitting with the matriculants of this program, and there's one guy that was in this program. He said to me that he really, I was asking him, just a conversation. He told me that he really doesn't think of himself as Muslim. All right. And I was like, wow, that kind of fits really in with, being Muslim. Like, what does that mean? And I was like, I was shocked by it. And he was telling me, like, the way that it started was that we were just talking, and I was like asking them, all the matriculants were sitting with me, and I asked them, like, what do they do for like their free time, and and I know it's Bellville, so I wasn't naive. So I was like asking, if any of them do substances, or if any of them do anything like that. And he was very open with me, and he told me, like, yeah, he did smoke, weed before, but he stopped that because it became very addictive for him. And he didn't want to go further than that, so he stopped that. And then he said, but he does drink, drinks, and he really enjoys it. And I was like shocked. So I asked him, so you've got a Muslim name. I don't want to, so I told, like, look, I don't want to sound like I'm now telling you you're not Muslim, but I'm asking, do you consider yourself Muslim? Because that's a very interesting predicament to be, someone that considers themselves Muslim, and so therefore would fall into the realm of sin, right? They would be sinning, but they would be understanding that there's a sin. And so he told me, no, he doesn't really consider himself Muslim. And then he followed it up with, but next year, I'm not going to go to, university. I'm going to study Hifz. I thought, now I need to ask him, what does he mean by he doesn't consider himself Muslim? Because I think that he misunderstood my question. And so I asked him again, like, so you see you want to study the Quran? He said, yes. I said, why do you want to study the Quran? He said, well, because I think that it's very important to know what it's all about. And, I think it will help me get my life on track. And I was bewildered, by this concept. And he said that he does find it difficult to leave certain things that he's busy with in that area. But he thinks that will help him if he gives his life to the Quran. Now, part of me was assuming, right, and that's wrong of me, actually, because he's supposed to practice personal law. But part of me was like, okay, maybe he's just telling me stuff to, for me to like calm down. I was asking any more questions. I wasn't like aggressively asking him anything. And but he seemed very genuine. And so I asked him again, so you want to be Muslim? So he said, no, but I am Muslim. And so I said, okay, so what you mean by you don't consider yourself? It means that he believes that he's taken himself out the fold of Islam. Right? In terms of that what he's doing is too far gone. And so then I was struck by the concept of love that Allah has for us, because that guy, he really believes it's too far. He believed maybe that he's too far gone. But I was thinking about it afterwards, because it sat with me, And I was thinking, you know, Allah still woke him up. And so I told him that, like, you're still awake today. You can still make a change. You can still do the things that you see as beneficial. It's hard and it will be difficult. I'm not saying that you can just, and then you know, where you want to be. But you have that opportunity. The opportunity Allah gave you there, another opportunity and another chance. And so it shocked me to, when I thought about it and I reflected on it a little bit, or at least when I thought about it, I realized that that's the case with all of us, that we get stuck in this concept of, or in this idea that, you know, what we are doing is so bad and we're so far gone. And we sometimes just need the reminder that that's impossible. You can never be too far gone. My sheikh told me, you know, he said one day we were sitting and he asked me, do you think that if you do a major sin and a minor sin, that it's easier for Allah to forgive the minor sin? And so then I was like, in my head, and he explained it afterwards to me as well, but in my head it was that doesn't make sense. If Allah is infinitely merciful, and that's what my sheikh said, is that if Allah is infinitely merciful, then nothing it takes more effort than something else, or less effort than something else. It's all zero effort. Because if you have an infinitely massive wave, right? You have an infinitely massive wave, and you have a molehill, and you have a tower. Is the wave going to struggle more with the tower than it does with the molehill? No, because the force that's coming from it is infinite. It's zero effort for both. I don't know if Dr. Sadwan can like mathematics, you know. But and so if we talk about Allah in the absolute senses that he really is, the infinite limitlessness that he is, then what we realize is that if Allah created us and he's the infinitely forgiving, then there's nothing that he can not forgive, or there's nothing that makes it more difficult for him to forgive something than something else. So that was, and that's based in love. There's the only time that you find that really that I think that you find that is with parents with their children. Parents have like incredible patience with their children, especially mothers. And that's why Rasulullah drew that parable, right? Or that he drew that kind of similarity to show, to display the love of Allah, where, you know, the Muslims had been prosecuted, you know, kicked out of Makkah, and there was treacherous plots against Rasulullah. The Quraysh were really, you know, really just oppressing. It was like worse than apartheid, if you really think about it. Okay. Adhan. But should I pause it? Put it on the clock. Nice. I didn't see the clock the last time. So when the Quraysh like chucked the Muslims out, tried to sell off all of their possessions, you know, really persecuted them badly, killed them, tortured them, you know, abused them. And then the Muslims fought the Battle of Badr, and it was this incredible victory. And so there was kind of a retribution there, you know, some justice. But then the Muslims fought the Battle of Uhud, and we lost. And it was like, you know, that. And then you had the Battle of the Trench, where the Muslims were besieged in Medina, and they were betrayed, you know, by the Jews of Medina. And then you have the decision after all of this. There's a peace treaty that comes about, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. I can't remember now. There's a peace treaty that comes about, and the Muslims agreed to a ceasefire. The Quraysh and the Muslims come to an agreement that for 10 years there's going to be no fighting, right? And in that 10 years, the Muslims will be allowed to come for Hajj. will be allowed to come to Makkah, to tawaf around the Kaaba. They'll be allowed to come for their Hajj. All right, but they're only allowed 3 days and then they must leave again. And then the Muslims rejoice at this. You know, some are like, we were like winning and now we have to sign this peace treaty. That's a different discussion, right? There's a different aspect to that. But then the Quraysh betrayed him again. They betrayed him and attacked them and kill Muslims in where they are busy. Because when that treaty happens, Rasulullah sends the companions out to go and spread Islam, to go talk to the different tribes and bring them in to Islam. And some of them were attacked. And so at that point, the Muslims now number 10,000, an army of 10,000, from 300, right, to 10,000. And at this point, the Quraysh can't stop them because they've now got on their side majority of the tribes, right? And they come to Makkah. And now, you know, it's that same fear like we had here. You know, just as apartheid ended, that people, the white, like how white people were afraid, okay, now all of the black people and the colored people are going to come now and kill us. We're going to flee. And there was a fear that happened here. It's the same thing. The Quraysh felt that exact same thing, that same fear, because we did so much wrong to these people. And then in that taking over of Makkah, that was for it's like the most part was peaceful. There was bits of fighting here and there, you know, but for the most part, like if we say 80%, 90% of it was peaceful, right? You had in that kind of chaos, because people are panicking now, running to their homes, trying to hide themselves. A mother and son, a mother and child are split up. Now this mother is a Qurayshi woman, right? So she's worried because what can the Muslims do? I mean, the time of the Jahili Arabs, anybody's fair game. If they come in and you will enslave a child and kill the parents, you will kill the child, you do whatever. There's no real, you know, law, codified law, right? If you have a power over them, you do whatever you want. And so the mother is now looking for her child. And she, you know, this is the way that my sheikh explained the story to me, is that this event, that this mother is now frantically looking for a child because anything can happen to him. The enemy is now, you know, and the companions are walking with Rasulullah and this mother sees her child, you know, amidst all of this commotion, she sees a child and she goes and she embraces him. And then the Rasulullah points it out and he says, you know, do you think this mother will ever throw a child in the fire? What do you think, Denzel? No. Dr. Saban? No. The companions said the same thing. They said, we've seen how this woman is stressing, how this woman is like worried about the child. You'd never. And then Rasulullah said, Allah loves his creation more than this mother loves a child. And so what my sheikh explained to me in that story was that there's another underlying case there, right, which we can go into another time, but that concept of love is so incredible there. It's shown, you know, in that story. And so we are given these opportunities all the time, you know, these breaths that we take. Every moment is another opportunity. And it's not like every breath you take now you must make salat or raka'at for every breath, you know. If we're conscious of it, there's another hadith that says that an hour of reflection is better than a year of salah, a year of ibadah. Rasulullah said that an hour of reflection is better than a year of ibadah. Doesn't mean that we don't make dhuhr and then we just sit in our house and we think, yeah, Allah, it's quiet. No. What it means is, because there's categories of how to like reflect, right? In that same, the way that some of the scholars break that down is beautiful. But But what it means is that when we conscientize, and we were talking about it now before the class or so, when we conscientize ourselves, when we actually think about what's going on, we will be blown away by the majesty of Allah, and that softens the heart already. That's like part of realizing. That's part of the final step. If you have Iman, Islam, Iman, and Ihsan, and we go back to that hadith of where Jibreel came and sat before the Prophet and asked him to explain these. Then Ihsan was that you pray, you make salah as though you see Allah. And if you don't see Allah, then know that indeed He sees you. And so praying isn't just salah. Every aspect of a Muslim is prayer. Every aspect of a Muslim is submission to Allah. And that's only through being conscious of it. It's so difficult actually to get to that level though. Like, I mean, that's like a very difficult thing for me sometimes, where you're sitting and you're thinking, like, if we're sitting here now, and we realize what's going on in our bodies, we don't have any control. Like, even me speaking now, there's nothing in me that in my mind, in my decision-making consciousness, that is saying, okay, I need to have my vocal cords move in a specific way. I'm not conscious of my vocal cords moving. That's allowing me to talk. I'm not conscious of my lungs expanding and my diaphragm contracting to allow air to come in. Stop your heart beating for a second. Just stop it. How do you do that? We can't. There's some people that get control. There was this thing when I was younger. There was these ninjas that could, and some people that have control over their heartbeat, they can slow it down to it almost stops. And I was blown away by that. But that ability to just stop your heart and stay living, do that. Stay alive, but without a heartbeat. Like without your heart moving. And just function. That's not how you work. Because the way that you are, the way that we are, is not controlled by us. We have really no control. All of it is mercy. So being Muslim is, part of it is conscientizing ourselves of that, like becoming aware of that. Anyways, for this week, Assalamu alaikum. For this week, I wanted to go over a very important part of, or important question that, no, what's the time now? Okay, we will be done by about 1 o'clock, inshallah, because we started off past the 1 o'clock and then end. In Surah Takwir, there's an ayah that goes, فَإِنَ تَذَبُونَ. Where are you going? Right? And in the study Quran, it talks about this in reference to when Rasulullah ﷺ receives revelation the first time. And he is running away, like not running away, but he's trying to get home because he's like thinking what is going on. An angel just came down, and now he's on the mountainside and he's going, hasting towards his house. And it says that Jibreel is standing on the horizon and his wingspan is going from the east to the west. So he's taking up the whole sky, right? Is this figure that's telling him that this is the truth, that you are the prophet. And so he's giving him the words of truth. And then they say, فَأَيْنَ تَذَهَبُونَ, so where are you going? And we must ask ourselves the same question. When truth comes to us, we are constantly running in this world, we're running through the dunya. And in a moment, what happens sometimes to myself and to my brother, I'll be busy with work. And then my brother, because we stay on one plot. My brother's got him and his wife, me and my wife and my parents and my two brothers. But we'll make salah together quite a bit. And my brother will come call me for salah, for dhuhr, right? And I said, I'm busy. And then you feel that frustration, you know, like, don't you understand? I got work to do. And then it's like, where are you going? Why are you running away from the truth? You know? And so if we go back, you know, a couple classes, we were talking about the idea of a path through the desert. Remember that? If you go back, imagine that path. You're walking down a path, following a caravan, and there's desert on either side of you, just wasteland. And you hear the guy in front with the map. He's saying, "Okay, we're gonna go this way." So then that message relays down, right? And remember, we said that you are really thirsty in this, right? You have all these desires that's not being met, and you really want to chase, because you see there in the distance some shimmering. You see it's an oasis, and you start running towards it. And then they shout, you know, the caller cries again, where are you going? Isn't it that you're supposed to turn yourself towards Allah? And yeah. And our Sheikh posed this question to us again. He said, you know, Allah has been loving you since before you were created. Allah loved you. And isn't it about time that you loved him back? But before you were created, Allah really knew he was going to create you. And he loved you. You didn't even exist yet. We weren't here. But Allah created in such a way that even though you are not the center of the universe still feeds you, and the universe, like everything still caters to you in such a way that if anything was out, you know, the fine-tuning argument, if anything in existence was out by a fraction, you would struggle and you would suffer even worse. And he did it out of love for us, that he made it like that. That the earth is so close that the earth is exactly the distance that it is from the sun. That you don't overheat, but then you're also not the earth isn't too cold, that life can exist. And then he placed you in a family, like if we fast forward now, right? Because I'm not going to go through the whole creation of the universe, but we fast forward to your life right now. He placed us in a family where if you had any other mother, it wouldn't have been as perfect as it is right now. If you had any other person as a father, it wouldn't have been as perfect as it is right now. There would have been an imbalance. You wouldn't be the person that you are right now. And Allah so wanted you to be the person that you are right now, that he made it. This is how it must be. Because he wanted you to exist. Because he loved you. So isn't it about time we love him back? How do we do that? Love is the end step. The first thing you need to know is to know. First need to be conscious that he exists. Like we Muslims, especially if we're born Muslim, right? At the end, I know that you're not born Muslim, but you have that advantage now for, again, like on us, in terms of that born Muslims generally, we become so like habitualized into Islam. It's just like actions. What happens is that we see these people that come into Islam, and we are so amazed by like the trajectory that they have, because there's a decision and there's a consciousness behind it. I mean, all of the great scholars that I followed, right, I was always blown away by it, and I was always like shocked, because all of them were like converts. They all came into Islam. You know, you get Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, you get Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad, these people that's like that when they talk about Islam, it's like we are like, you wanna almost, your heart like aches, you know. But yeah, so again, where are we going? And the answer, I think, should be, in my head at least, my answer is we're going towards Allah. Right? I mean, not my answer. It's just, but and we're going to, and the way we're going there is through love. Yes. Yes. Yeah. إن هو إلا ذكر للعالمين. Yeah, it's crazy. When you read, yeah. Alameen is such a, okay, we don't have really time to go into it, but Alameen is a beautiful, if you listen to Sheikh Hamza Yusuf explains what Alameen is, Rabbul Alameen, it will blow you away. He talks about Alameen is just its existence. It's not the, we think of the universe as its existence in its entirety. But it's like a shallow, you must go listen to it. It's beautiful. But yeah, okay. So alhamdulillah, every Thursday, inshallah, I'll be here from our first 12. Yeah, CPT, alhamdulillah, the MSA is very welcoming. And then I think on Monday we have classes online. That's being physically attended at UCT. And then on Wednesday, it's at UWC. Not me, but on Monday it's Ustadh Nurunisa Isaacs, and then on Wednesday it's Ustadh Nadir Hendricks. Right, and so Nadir does Journey Through the Quran, tafsir, and like the beauties that's within there. And Ustadh Nurunisa, she does a book called the Secrets of Divine Love. And there's deeper, that book will take us deeper into like the concept of love. I don't want to, we're going to, next week, inshallah, we'll move on to, being Muslim in a very practical sense, right? The reason why I founded this, or why I wanted to preface this on all of this kind of spirituality, is that when we go into the practical senses of taking on, the different ideologies that's out there, or what does it mean to be, to exist, what was Allah's purpose for creating us, and Nabi Adam and all of that, then we'll be able to be conscious of the underlying fundamental aspect of love. So yeah, inshallah, shukran everybody online, and shukran everybody here in the Salah room. Inshallah, see you next week. Assalamu alaikum.